She sat at a reserved table by mistake. CEO wouldn't let her go. CEO, Stories for Sleep. Before we dive in, I want to know, where in the world are you watching from right now? Type your city in the comments so we can see just how far this story reaches. And when we get to the end, I dare you to rate it from 0 to 10, because this one might just break your heart. Now, lean back, close your eyes, and enjoy the story. The summer festival lights glowed golden across the town square, lanterns swaying gently in the evening breeze. Selena Hart only wanted a quiet corner, a small place to rest her tired feet and savor the roasted coconut ice cream melting in her hand. She never knew the table, draped in white linen, decorated with bright sunflowers, was reserved for the most powerful man in town. One spoonful of sweetness, one moment of rest. That was all she wanted. And then a shadow fell across her. Standing before her was Leon Vaughn, tall, composed, his white shirt sleeves rolled to the elbows, the quiet force of authority radiating from every line of his frame. His eyes were sharp, and his voice was steady as thunder when he spoke. "This table is mine." Selena startled, nearly dropping her spoon. She scrambled to stand, apologizing in a fluster, ready to retreat into the crowd. But instead of anger, his lips curved into a slow, dangerous smile. "Sit back down," he said softly, his tone laced with something that felt both like command and invitation. "Don't go anywhere. If you've tasted my ice cream, then you owe me much more than that." In that heartbeat, surrounded by music, laughter, and festival lanterns, Selena couldn't tell if she had made a terrible mistake or if she had just stumbled into the beginning of a story that would change her life forever. Because sometimes one small mistake opens the door to an unforgettable love. Selena was 27, an ordinary accountant who had just survived 2 brutal months, buried in spreadsheets and deadlines. Tonight was supposed to be her escape. The promise she made to herself was simple: eat until her heart was full, laugh until her worries dissolved, and forget the balance sheets waiting on her desk. The air was rich with scents of seafood, pastries, and strong coffee. The music pulsed with joy as families, couples, and friends filled the coastal town of Seaview. And in that whirl of celebration, Selena had unknowingly walked straight into his world. Leon Vaughn, billionaire CEO, owner of Vaughn Crearyy, a man whose very presence made the town both admire and fear him. And tonight, he wasn't about to let her walk away. Part 1. The Fateful Encounter. The summer festival in Seaview was alive with color and sound. Music from the main stage echoed across the square, blending with children's laughter and the cheerful calls of vendors selling their treats. strings of golden lanterns wrapped around wooden posts, turning the plaza into a miniature night sky. Selena Hart walked slowly through the crowd, her heels clicking against the cobblestones, each step carrying the weight of months spent buried under deadlines and numbers. She never expected to stop at a row of tables draped in crisp white linen, decorated with tall sunflowers glowing beneath the lights. To her eyes, it looked no different from any other table at the festival. No sign marked it as special. No attendant stood guard. Just empty chairs and a quiet reprieve in the midst of chaos. Her feet ached, and she whispered to herself, "Maybe someone stepped away to get food, but I can't stand any longer. Just a minute. That's all." Selena slipped into the chair, placed her bag by her feet, and let out a sigh of relief. Moments later, a server set down a bowl of roasted coconut ice cream topped with crisp shavings. She smiled faintly, closed her eyes, and let the cold sweetness melt across her tongue. The rich aroma washing away every invoice, every ledger, every sleepless night of the past 2 months. But the peace lasted less than a minute. A tall shadow suddenly fell over the table. Selena's eyes snapped open, her breath catching. Before her stood a man who towered above the crowd. His white shirt was rolled at the sleeves, the top button undone to reveal the hard lines of his chest. His gaze was deep, commanding, an unspoken order hidden within it. "This is my table." His voice was low, steady, a command wrapped in velvet. Selena's pulse spiked. She shot to her feet, fumbling for her bag. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I'll leave right away." But as she turned, his lips curved into the faintest smile, half arrogance, half mystery. "Sit down." The words froze her where she stood. He hadn't raised his voice. He wasn't angry. And yet, his tone carried a quiet authority that made her limbs obey. "You've already tasted my ice cream," he murmured, eyes locked on hers. "That means you owe me more than just an apology." Selena's breath caught. Was this a threat, a tease, or something else entirely? She sank back into her chair, clutching her spoon as though it were her last tether to reality. "You really don't have to be so generous," she stammered, forcing a nervous smile. "It was just a mistake. I can leave." "Sit," he repeated, calm but absolute. He pulled out the chair opposite her and sat down with the ease of a man who belonged anywhere he chose. And somehow, in that moment, Selena felt like the intruder. For several seconds, silence lingered. His eyes studied her, every move cool, unwavering, as though he could read through her. Selena shifted under the weight of his gaze, searching for words. "Maybe you didn't get your order yet," she whispered. "I'll buy you another ice cream to replace the one I borrowed." The corner of his mouth lifted again. "No need." If you've had it, consider it a debt, and I don't let debts go unpaid. Her skin prickled. His tone was gentle, but there was something beneath it, a gravity that made her shiver, swallowing hard. Selena managed a weak laugh. So, what exactly do you want me to do to repay you? He leaned back, the golden lantern light carving shadows across his sharp features. His voice dropped to a warm rumble. First, tell me your name. A simple question. Yet, Selena felt her heart slam against her ribs. Selena, she whispered. Then, with a breath, steadied herself. Selena Hart. I'm just an ordinary accountant. He repeated it slowly, as though savoring it. Selena Hart. There is nothing ordinary about that name. Her cheeks warmed. No one had ever spoken her name like it mattered. All her life, she'd been the invisible one, a line of signature ink at the bottom of reports. But in his voice, her name sounded like something rare, trying to reclaim a sliver of control. She arched a brow. And what about you? A mysterious man who claims tables and talks about debts over ice cream. Who exactly are you? The host of this festival. A low laugh escaped him, rich and unexpected. He set a golden card on the table, the lettering glinting beneath the lantern light. Leon Vaughn, CEO, Vaughn Crearyy. Selena's eyes widened. She had seen the Vaughn Crearyy logo plastered across banners and ice cream stands all over the square, but she never connected it to the man sitting before her. You're the CEO, she stammered. I thought you were maybe a marketing guy. His smile deepened, eyes gleaming with amusement. Rarely do I meet someone who doesn't already know me. And perhaps that's why you're more interesting than any glowing report I've read today. Selena dropped her gaze, stirring the melted ice cream in her bowl. Her thoughts tangled, nervousness battled curiosity, and somewhere inside, something whispered that this was no simple mistake. The music outside carried on, but at their little table, the world seemed to slow. All right then, she said, forcing playfulness into her tone. If you've trapped me here, Mr. CEO, the least you can do is share a secret. Like, how does a man like you eat his ice cream? Leon's eyes glinted, his lips curving. Eating ice cream, he said slowly, is an art. She laughed. That sounds like a TED Talk waiting to happen. Not quite. He lifted the spoon, studying it under the golden glow. First, I look carefully. Then I breathe in the layers of flavor. Only then do I taste slowly, deliberately, discovering both the strengths and the flaws. Selena blinked, then burst into a soft laugh. You eat ice cream like a detective solving a case. Amusement flickered in his eyes. And you, I suppose, are the opposite. Exactly. Big spoonfuls, fast If you take too long, it melts and you lose it. I call it the speed strategy. He chuckled, deep and genuine, surprising her. The sound made her chest tighten. She hadn't expected a billionaire CEO to laugh so easily at her nonsense. And in that moment, surrounded by lanterns and laughter, the table became its own little world. Leon's gaze lingered, steady, as though memorizing her every expression. You eat as if you're racing against time, he said softly, setting the spoon down. I've never seen anyone quite like that. And that, Selena Hart, is exactly what I need. Her breath faltered. What do you mean? Instead of answering, he pulled a golden card from his pocket, laying it before her. Vaughn Crearyy, VIP card. Selena frowned, brushing her fingers over the cool surface. This is a 1-year pass. Free ice cream, any flavor, anytime, he said, his tone steady, his gaze locked on hers. In return, I want you to be my taster, not an expert, not a critic, just you, honest, real. Whether you eat fast or tease me, it doesn't matter. I need that. Selena blinked, half in disbelief. You can't be serious. I'm just an accountant. Not exactly. Leon cut in, his eyes gleaming like the sea lit by fireworks. I have a whole team of professionals, but they only hand me sterile reports. You laugh, you tease. You remind me what's real. That's what I want. Her heart pounded louder than the festival drums outside. Was this what people called a turning point? She had come for a festival, for a single scoop of ice cream. Yet somehow, she was being drawn into something far bigger. She swallowed hard. And if I refuse, his smile deepened, his voice silk and steel all at once. Then you still owe me another ice cream. And I don't let debts disappear. Selena's pulse raced, fear, intrigue, and a spark of something she couldn't name twisted inside her. Whatever this was, she knew one thing for certain. She had just stepped into a story she couldn't walk away from. Part 2. A conversation about ice cream on the white linen table inside the festival's VIP section. The silver tray glittered under golden lantern light. One by one, servers set down bowls of ice cream, like an artist's palette, frozen in sugar and frost. Classic vanilla, dark chocolate, wild strawberry, cool mint, caramel almond, and, of course, the roasted coconut that still carried its sweet, smoky perfume. Selena's eyes widened at the array. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. All of these are for us. Leon sat back with his arms folded, amusement dancing in his gaze. For you, he corrected. Consider it your first test. I want to see if your speed strategy can survive multiple opponents at once. Selena laughed, half protesting, half teasing. So you're turning me into some kind of ice cream athlete. What happens if I collapse from a sugar coma? Then Vaughn Creamery will take full responsibility. Leon replied smoothly, his tone just serious enough to make her burst into laughter. She picked up her spoon, inhaled once for courage, and started with the bitter chocolate. The first taste melted across her tongue, and her eyes lit up. Though instead of praising it, she pressed her lips together and frowned. A little too bitter, she said thoughtfully. If someone was heartbroken, eating this might just make them cry harder. His brows rose, both curious and intrigued. So you want me to rewrite the recipe to comfort broken hearts? Selena rested her chin in her hand, lips curving playfully. At least add a trace of sweetness at the end. Even a broken love deserves a little hope. The words slipped out casually, but her chest tightened. For a moment, she remembered 20-year-old Selena, the one who had believed in a love that ended too quickly. A scoop of ice cream hadn't been enough to save her then. From that day forward, she had trusted numbers more than people. Leon was quiet for a long beat. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a softness she hadn't expected. That was more than a review of ice cream. That was a glimpse into you. Selena, perhaps you're not just a fast eater after all. Her heart skipped. In the noise of the festival beyond their table, his words fell like a low chord, unexpected, steady, and disarming. She broke the silence quickly, reaching for the strawberry. Its pink gleam under the lights looked like summer captured in a bowl. One more, she announced, feigning lightheartedness. She tasted it, let the sweet and tart flavor spread, then gave a mischievous smile, sweet but sharp, like dating a handsome man who's too arrogant, charming at first, but eventually a headache. Leon laughed a fuller, warmer laugh than before. He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on hers. And am I supposed to take that personally? Selena choked on her own breath. No, I wasn't talking about you. Relax, he interrupted gently, his lips curving. His voice dropped so low, it felt like a secret. I'm not offended. In fact, I'd like to hear more comparisons. Her cheeks burned. To escape, she hurried toward the safest choice, vanilla. She scooped a spoonful, let its smooth comfort spread, and smiled softly. Vanilla is like an old friend, no surprises, but always there when you need it. Leon's gaze softened. Too, sounds like you've leaned on vanilla quite a lot. She nodded faintly, and for a flicker of a moment, her father's face filled her memory. The man who used to buy her a cheap vanilla cone after school every evening. The man she lost too soon. For years after his death, she couldn't bear the taste of vanilla, and yet here she was, speaking of it with a stranger. Vanilla is memory, she said quietly. That's all. His voice deepened. almost reverent memory is the hardest flavor to recreate. Thank you for reminding me of that. Selena's chest tightened. This wasn't just about ice cream anymore. Something deeper was stirring beneath their words. She reached for mint next. The pale green glowed under the lights. One spoonful filled her mouth with a sharp chill, then softened into a strange, refreshing sweetness. Mint, she murmured, like a new beginning, freezing at first. But if you wait, it becomes unexpectedly gentle. Leon tilted his head, his gaze distant. A new beginning. His voice carried a quiet echo. I used to hate mint. Selena's eyes widened. Hate it. But it's one of the most popular flavors. His lips curved, though a shadow passed behind them. When I was a student, I worked part-time in a tiny ice cream shop. The machine broke down every time someone ordered mint. Once, I burned my hands on the coolant. For years, the smell of mint reminded me of numb fingers and nights spent fixing broken machines. Selena stilled. She hadn't imagined a man like Leon Vaughn, wealthy, untouchable, had once been a struggling boy with frozen hands. She looked at his strong fingers resting on the table, imagining them trembling in the cold. Then why keep it on your menu now? She asked softly. His eyes met hers, unflinching. Because not everything we hate should disappear. Sometimes, pain is the reminder of why we've come this far. The words struck like a chill wind, then left a warmth behind. Selena blinked rapidly, forcing a laugh. So you're not just a detective of flavors. You're also a philosopher. Leon's laughter rolled low and rich, this time genuine. And you, Selena Hart, turn every flavor into a story. Maybe I've chosen the right partner after all. Her pulse fluttered. In that moment, the distance between CEO and ordinary accountant blurred into something else. She reached for the caramel almond. The amber swirl gleamed in the light, thick and golden. She tasted it and closed her eyes, sighing softly. Oh my, this one's like a hug, warm, heavy, comforting enough to erase a bad day. Leon's gaze softened. A hug, you say? Yes. She smiled faintly. When I was little, if I cried over bad grades, my mother would bake caramel. With caramel in hand, no test ever felt terrifying. Leon didn't laugh this time. Instead, his eyes darkened with something deeper. You've just reminded me of my father. Selena froze, listening, as his voice dropped. He sold ice cream on this very beach when I was a boy. His machine was old, his flavors never perfect. But he always told me, one scoop can bring a smile, and that smile is worth more than any formula. Oh, Leon inhaled, and for a moment, his voice caught. Selena's throat tightened. She didn't dare speak, only watched him. The man the world saw as powerful, now revealed as a son, carrying his father's legacy in every scoop. Maybe that's why I've chased Vaughn Creamery so relentlessly. He continued, low and raw, not just for business, but to keep his promise. I want every store to give someone the hug he once gave me. Selena's lips curved in a trembling smile. Her voice was barely a whisper. Then you're not just making ice cream, you're making memories. The space between them hushed. Golden lights breaking into fragments overhead. In the middle of the noisy festival, the small table seemed to hold its own fragile universe. Her eyes drifted to the last bowl. A soft swirl of ivory and blush pink, sprinkled with shimmering flakes. Looks like you saved something for last, she said, hiding a smile. Leon's lips curved. Yes, a trial recipe. No one's tasted it. Until now. Selena dipped her spoon, tasted the gentle sweetness, then caught the faint spark of ginger. She winced, then laughed. Oh my. This one feels like a surprise date. Awkward at first, but the longer it lingers, the more it pulls you back. Leon chuckled, his laughter deep and warm. A surprise date. You've just named it. And you, Selena challenged lightly. What does it say to you? His eyes didn't leave hers. It feels like someone unexpected, a disruption, yes. But the very thing that makes life interesting. Her heart tripped. He hadn't said her name, but in his gaze, she felt it anyway. She broke into a laugh, trying to shake off the weight in the air. Dangerous words. Mr. CEO. Say things like that at press conferences, and every woman will think she's your muse. Perhaps, Leon murmured. His smile turned slow, steady. But tonight, I only have one muse. Her cheeks flushed hot. She dropped her gaze, stirring the melted cream with her spoon. Then he leaned slightly closer. His voice was calm, unyielding. Tomorrow, I have a tasting at the main Vaughn Creamery factory. I want you there, not as a guest of honor, not as an expert, but as Selena Hart, the woman with a speed strategy and a talent for turning flavors into stories. Will you come? The music still thundered in the square, but Selena barely heard it. Only his question echoed in her chest, a simple invitation, but one that could change everything. Part 3. The unexpected invitation. The golden pass lay between them, catching the lantern light like a secret, too precious to touch. VIP pass. Vaughn Creamery. The words shimmered, at once inviting and dangerous. Selena's hand trembled as she brushed her fingertips over the cold surface. It felt less like a ticket for free ice cream, and more like a key to a world she had never belonged to. You're really giving this to me? She asked, her voice low, uncertain. Leon inclined his head, calm as ever. though the faintest smile tugged at his lips. Yes, a year of free ice cream. But more importantly, his dark gaze locked on hers, holding her still. I want you to test my new flavors, not as an employee, not as a VIP guest, but as you, Selena Hart. Her breath caught, her heart stumbling against her ribs. She gave a quick, nervous laugh. Mr. CEO, you do realize I'm an accountant, right? I don't have a certificate in ice cream tasting. Exactly, Leon replied without hesitation, leaning closer. I already have a team of experts writing me 50-page reports, but none of those reports make me smile. You, on the other hand, he paused, his eyes narrowing with quiet amusement. You're different. The words sank into her, unsettling and strangely comforting all at once. A knot of pride, doubt, and a flicker of something warmer rose inside her. And you're not afraid I'll ruin your plans? She asked softly. If a single spoonful from you can change my recipe, Leon said, nudging the golden pass toward her, then that's not a mistake. That's inspiration. Her lips parted, but no words came. Around them, music and laughter still swirled through the festival air, but all Selena could hear was the sound of her own racing pulse. She couldn't tell if this was an opportunity, a trap, or a hidden invitation that looked suspiciously like a date. Yet something deep inside whispered, say yes. The next morning, Selena stood at the gates of Vaughn Creamery's main factory, sunlight glinting off the glass facade that rose above the old coastal town. The building shimmered against the backdrop of Seaview's weathered streets, as though it belonged to another world entirely. From its chimneys drifted sweet aromas, vanilla, chocolate, caramel mingling with the salt of the ocean breeze. Clutching her bag, her heart hammering, she thought of the moment Leon had pressed the pass into her hand. I need the truth from you. His words echoed still. A polite employee in a pale blue uniform guided her inside. The vast floor opened before her, gleaming with stainless steel machines, workers pouring, stirring, measuring an orchestra of precision and passion. Selena felt as if she'd stepped not just into a factory, but into an empire. You're right on time. His voice drew her eyes. At the end of the corridor stood Leon, no longer in his casual white shirt, but in navy blue, sleeves crisp, clipboard in hand. He looked every inch the commander on his battlefield, and yet the curve at the corner of his mouth eased something inside her chest. Welcome to the kingdom of ice cream, he said, half teasing, half solemn. Selena crossed her arms, masking her nerves with a smirk. So, what am I supposed to be here? Your princess taster. No, Leon replied instantly, his eyes glinting. My partner, The word struck her harder than she expected. Partner. Not employee, not guest, partner. The glass doors opened into a bright tasting room. A long table stretched across the space, lined with dozens of small glass cups, each filled with a different flavor. Soft pink strawberry, golden mango, rich chocolate, cool mint, and shades she had never even seen before. Selena's jaw dropped. Is this a tasting session or a chemistry experiment? A little of both. Leon set his clipboard down. Pen ready. 12 new recipes. Your job is to eat mine. He tapped his pen. Is to record your every reaction. She laughed, pulling out a chair. Sounds like I'm your lab mouse. Not quite, Leon said softly, eyes warm. Mice don't laugh. Her spoon dipped into the first cup bright mango. The flavor burst across her tongue. Sunny and full. She closed her eyes, then opened them with a smile. This one feels like a summer afternoon. When you believe everything can start again. Leon scribbled notes, lips curving faintly. Your descriptions are more valuable than any report I've ever read. The next flavor was lavender. Selena's nose wrinkled, and she burst into a laugh. Oh no, this one tastes like a terrible date. You expect something sweet, but by the end, you just want to run away. Leon's laughter filled the room, deep and resonant. He leaned forward, eyes bright with amusement. You know, no one has ever dared to talk to me like this. Selena blinked, caught off guard by the raw honesty in his tone. Then she shrugged, smiling crookedly. Well, you hired the right woman. I've never been good at hiding what I feel. The light above seemed to catch in his eyes, making them impossibly deep. And in that moment, Selena realized this wasn't just about ice cream. It was about truth, about opening doors, neither of them usually allowed to be touched. By the 10th cup, the sugar and cold had begun to blur her senses. Selena dropped her spoon, pressing a hand to her temple. Has anyone ever told you? Eating too much ice cream at once makes you drunk. Drunk. Leon raised a brow. She nodded, wobbling, nearly knocking over a cup. My head's floating. My feet don't even know where the ground is anymore. He didn't laugh this time. Instead, he rose quickly, came behind her, and steadied her chair. His voice dropped, low and protective. That's enough. Come with me. Guiding her gently, he led her through the glass doors and out onto a wide balcony. The ocean stretched before them, waves breaking against the afternoon sun. Cool wind swept her hair back, carrying away the sugar haze from her mind. Selena leaned against the rail, closing her eyes as the sea air rushed through her lungs. Oh, that feels good. A moment later, Leon returned, with a tall glass of lemon water, setting it in her hands. Drink this. It'll clear your head faster than any flavor. Her eyes lifted to his, catching not the gaze of a commanding CEO, but the look of a man who, in this moment, simply cared. Her heart stumbled. You really do have a solution for everything, she teased softly, voice gentler now. Even for a girl drunk on ice cream. He leaned against the railing, arms crossed, a half smile tugging at his lips. My job is to solve crises, but this time I find myself wanting to take care of you instead. The words blew through her like the sea wind, leaving warmth that prickled behind her eyes. She turned toward the horizon, afraid he might see the shimmer there. Then, slowly, he reached into his pocket. Another golden pass gleamed in the sunset as he set it in her hand. This isn't just a VIP card, he said, his voice rich and steady. It's an invitation. I want you to be Vaughn Creamery's special taster. No rules, no reports, just you, Selena Hart, with your honesty and your stories. The cool metal pressed against her palm, her heart trembling with it. She laughed faintly, trying to hide the rush of emotion. Are you sure you've chosen the right woman? I don't have credentials, just a habit of eating fast. And maybe too much. Leon leaned closer, his gaze cutting through every wall she tried to keep. That's exactly why I don't need an expert. I need someone to remind me that ice cream isn't just a product. It's memory. It's joy. Her lips parted, her chest aching with unspoken memories. Vanilla cones with her father, the scent of caramel in her mother's kitchen. All the sweetness she thought she'd lost came rushing back. Do you really believe I can do this? She whispered. His answer was quiet, but unwavering. I don't believe. I know. The waves thundered beneath them. The wind tangled her hair, and the sun painted gold across the sea. Selena gripped the card tightly. She knew this wasn't just a job. This was destiny. Part 4. A day of tasting at the factory. That morning, Selena stepped into Vaughn Creamery for the second time. But everything felt different now. She was no longer just the outsider who had stumbled into a VIP table. On her wrist rested the golden pass Leon had given her, the invitation to become his special taster. The marble hallway stretched long and bright, sunlight spilling through tall windows, reflecting off polished floors. The hum of machinery filled the air, steel pipes carrying thick streams of cream, the scent of vanilla, cocoa, and caramel, curling into the salty sea breeze that drifted through. You're here. Leon's voice pulled her gaze to the end of the corridor. He wore a crisp white shirt, clipboard in hand, his stride steady, his presence commanding. Workers stepped aside, greeting him with quiet respect. Yet when his eyes found Selena, the hard lines of the CEO softened, replaced with a faint smile that sent warmth rushing through her. He guided her into the tasting room, a bright chamber with a long white draped table. Dozens of small glass cups lined it in perfect rows: scarlet strawberry, pale mango, cool mint, deep violet. Selena's lips parted, a laugh escaping. This looks like a fashion show, but for ice cream. Leon pulled out a chair for her. Exactly. And today, you're the only judge. She sat, fingers curling around the silver spoon. Her heart beat faster than it should, not with dread, but anticipation. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like a weary accountant. She felt like a child about to ride her first carousel. Leon settled opposite, his gaze steady, ready. Selena drew a breath, smiled faintly. Let the journey begin. Her first spoon dipped into pale gold cream. She tasted it, let it melt slowly, then chuckled. This one's like a Sunday morning, soft, safe, nothing surprising, just the kind of sweetness that makes you want to stay lazy in bed. Leon scribbled notes, the corner of his mouth twitching. Simple, but emotional. I'll put it under potential bestseller. Selena arched a brow. Do you always treat vanilla like a life or death decision? He lifted one shoulder. Habit. Every flavor is survival. For a moment, she caught the weight behind his words. The pressure of an empire riding on each recipe. Instead of commenting, she smiled and scooped the next. Strawberry, soft pink under the light. She tasted it, then pressed her hand to her chest. Oh, this one feels like my first love. Leon stilled. Love? Selena nodded, eyes bright, sweet, exciting, but makes your heart race so fast. You don't know if you should laugh or be afraid. It's a nervous flavor. His pen froze above the paper, his gaze fixed on her instead of the cup. Something in her words had pierced deeper than he expected. Selena flushed under the weight of it, ducking her head. Don't look at me like I'm a financial report. I'm just talking about ice cream. Leon chuckled softly, though his voice carried a warmth that lingered. Sometimes, one spoonful says more than 1,000 words. Her breath caught. To distract herself, she tried the pale green cup. The taste hit sharp, startling. Her eyes widened. Oh no. This one's medicine. Is this ice cream or cough syrup? Leon laughed, leaning closer. Mint ginger. My idea. After getting sick, but still wanting dessert, Selena coughed and laughed all at once. So, the billionaire CEO has his foolish moments too. His smile faltered for a beat, his gaze dropping. Foolish. Maybe Vaughn Creamery Started with one rusted machine in my father's garage. Everyone said it was madness. Sometimes I believed them. Her spoon paused midair in the sweetness of the room. His words rang with grief. "Did you ever want to quit?" she asked softly. He smiled, tired. "Honest, many times, especially after my father died, leaving behind half-finished recipes. I thought I wasn't strong enough. But then I realized if I stopped, his dreams would die too. So I kept going, one day at a time." Selena's chest tightened. Not pity, but admiration, and something like kinship. She whispered gently, "Then this flavor, I'll call it memory. A little bitter, a little sharp, but unforgettable." Leon didn't write it down. He only nodded, his eyes holding hers, as if her words had reached somewhere no one else had touched. She took a breath, lifted another spoon. Bright orange. All right, let's find happiness this time. The moment it hit her tongue, she winced. Pumpkin and chili. Leon laughed, his shoulders shaking. Pumpkin chili cheesecake. My Halloween experiment. Selena clutched her stomach, laughing until tears stung her eyes. You'll scare your customers away. Who puts chili in ice cream? Sometimes, Leon said, still grinning. The strangest combinations create the most unforgettable experiences. She met his eyes and realized he wasn't just talking about flavors. Quickly, she grabbed another cup, tasted, then gasped. This one tastes like perfume. Strawberry pink pepper, he explained. Some say it's seductive. Selena pretended to cough. If seduction burns this much, no wonder I'm single. They both laughed, their voices carrying through the sterile white room, warming it like sunlight. When the laughter faded, Selena leaned back, her voice soft. It's been a long time since I laughed this freely. Leon's expression gentled, and it's been a long time since someone understood what lies behind each spoonful. The air stilled. Selena felt something inside her shift like a new flavor blooming. Warm and fragile. The final cup waited. Ivory cream topped with sparkling flakes of sea salt. Selena lifted her spoon, tasted, and closed her eyes. The salt stung first, then melted into warmth. Ginger curling through. It's like a storm at sea, she whispered. Harsh and briny at first, but it leaves heat in your chest. The kind of feeling that tells you after the storm, you'll smile again. Leon didn't write a word. He only watched her, silent, as if the storm she described was his own. But then, Selena swayed slightly, her hands trembling. Selena. His voice tightened. She forced a smile. Maybe. Too much ice cream. Feels like I've had a little too much wine. Leon was at her side in an instant, his hand steady on her shoulder. That's enough. Come. He led her, through glass doors onto a wide balcony. The ocean stretched before them, waves breaking under the afternoon sun. Wind rushed through her hair, cooling her skin, steadying her breath. Moments later, Leon returned with a glass of lemon water, placing it carefully in her hand. "Drink. I'd rather not have you faint in my factory." Selena laughed softly, the tartness of lemon reviving her. She lifted her eyes and found his waiting, not the cold gaze of a CEO, but the quiet worry of a man. "You really do have a solution for everything," she teased gently. "Even a girl drunk on ice cream." He leaned against the rail, arms folded, his voice low but sincere. "My job is crisis management, but this time, I think I'd rather care than fix." The words fell into the sea wind, stirring something deep inside her. She turned back to the horizon, blinking quickly, afraid he might see the shimmer in her eyes. And yet, she knew this wasn't just a day of tasting. This was the day she felt the first threads of a bond weaving between them, quiet, undeniable, and dangerously real. Part 5. Whispers of the Town. The next morning, Selena slipped into her favorite coffee shop on the corner of Seaview, her hair tied in a loose bun, laptop tucked under her arm. Normally, this place was her safe haven, warm, quiet, where townsfolk began their day over cappuccinos and laughter. But today, the moment she stepped through the wooden door, a dozen pairs of eyes turned to her. "Good morning." Selena. Mary, the owner, called from behind the counter, but her smile carried something mischievous. Selena froze. "Why is everyone looking at me like I just won the lottery?" A young girl by the window giggled. "Not the lottery, but maybe you just won the CEO." The whole cafe erupted with laughter. Selena's cheeks burned crimson. "What?" Mary set a steaming cappuccino in front of her, her eyes twinkling. "Word spread all over town. People saw you with Leon Vaughn at the factory. Then out on the balcony, at sunset." Selena nearly choked on air. "That was nothing. I ate too much ice cream. He just took me outside for fresh air." But her defense only fueled the laughter. A man at the back lifted his mug with a grin. "Sure, sweetheart. Who else eats so much ice cream? They need the CEO himself to carry them out." "Sounds like romance to me." Selena buried her face in her hands. Mortified, her heart stumbled at the sound of Leon's name on everyone's lips. And yet, hidden beneath her embarrassment was a dangerous thought. If it were true, would that really be so wrong? The memory of him handing her the lemon water returned his eyes soft, his voice gentler than she'd ever imagined. She shivered at the thought, caught between wanting to deny the gossip and not wanting it to vanish. She left the cafe with her face as red as a strawberry cone, hoping to find peace At the little flower shop by the square, she often stopped there for daisies. Tiny bursts of joy to brighten her desk full of ledgers, but peace was not waiting. The bell above the wooden door jingled, lavender and roses filling the air. Inside stood three elderly women, the town's infamous gossip goddesses. "Well, if it isn't Selena," one chirped, her eyes sparkling as though she'd just spotted a bride. Selena stiffened. "I just came for flowers." Another wagged a finger, grinning. "We heard you're seeing young Mr. Vaughn." True, isn't it? One look at the way he stared at you during the festival. Oh, my heart nearly melted. Selena fumbled, almost dropping the bouquet of daisies. "No, it's not like that. I was only helping him taste ice cream." The third cackled, hands on her hips. "Is that what they call love? Now tasting ice cream?" The shop burst into laughter. Selena sank into a chair, her cheeks on fire. Just then, a little girl darted in, braids bouncing, cotton candy in hand. "Mommy, Mommy, they say Mr. Leon gave this lady the sweetest lemonade in the world." The innocent words pierced Selena's heart. Lemonade. The balcony. The way his gaze had lingered. For a breathless moment, the laughter around her dimmed, and her chest ached with something she couldn't name. She paid for the flowers quickly and slipped out, bouquet clutched tight. But Seaview wasn't done with her. At the fish market, the morning air rang with the cries of gulls and the salty scent of the sea. Selena pressed forward, hoping no one would notice her, but old Hank, the fishmonger, spotted her instantly. Well, well. The girl who made Leon Vaughn smile like a schoolboy selling his first cone. Selena groaned. "Please, Hank, I'm just here for fish." "Fish? He slapped a tuna onto the counter. "What about that lemonade he served you himself?" No one in this town's ever had the CEO fetch them a drink." The nearby vendors perked up, voices rising. "I saw them on the balcony straight out of a romance film." Heard he walked her home afterward, too. Who else delivers fresh salmon like that but a CEO? Selena covered her face, mortified, as a group of children dashed past, chanting, "Selena's the ice cream princess. Selena's the ice cream princess." Her throat tightened, not from shame, but from something deeper. In their playful chants, she heard the town's affection for Leon. And now they were tying her into his story. A tiny hand tugged her sleeve. A little girl with bright curls looked up at her, whispering, "Don't be sad. If you smile, Mr. Leon will smile too. And when he smiles, the whole town smiles." Selena froze, her eyes stinging. She forced a trembling smile at the child. And in that fragile moment, she understood. The gossip wasn't just noise. It carried a truth she wasn't ready to say aloud. By afternoon, she thought the worst was over until she returned to her accounting office. Normally, it was quiet, the clack of keyboards, the hum of printers. But today, the room fell silent as she walked in. Dozens of eyes turned, gleaming. Isn't that her? Leon Vaughn's girlfriend. They say he gave her a year-long ice cream pass. I heard he carried her out to the balcony, romantic. Right. Selena flushed. Clutching her files, she opened her mouth to object, but the words caught in her throat. Then, as if summoned, the gossip goddesses appeared striding into the office with canes and confidence. We're only here for one thing, the eldest announced, tapping her cane on the floor to confirm whether Selena Hart has captured Mr. Vaughn's heart. The room roared with laughter and applause. Selena stood, flustered. No, that's not. It's not what you think. Another elder cut in, her voice gentle but firm. Oh, darling, you can fake many things, but not the eyes. And the whole town saw the way Leon looked at you. That wasn't business. That was a man's heart. Selena froze. The words sank deep, carrying her back to the balcony. The way his eyes had softened, steady, unguarded. She realized then, perhaps the town wasn't entirely wrong. By evening, she couldn't take another whisper. Gossip had chased her from the cafe to the flower shop, to the fish market, to her office. She needed answers. She climbed the stairs of Vaughn Crearyy, the air sweet with vanilla. On the second-floor balcony, Leon stood tall, the sea wind tugging at his white shirt, sunset burning orange behind him. Her heart raced. She stepped forward, blurting out, "Do you even know what this town is saying about us?" Leon turned, calm as ever, his gaze steady. "I know. They think you're my girlfriend." Selena blinked, heat rushing to her cheeks. "Then you need to correct them. I can't walk around being called the ice cream princess." The corner of his mouth lifted, half a smile, half a challenge. He stepped closer, his shadow falling over her in the golden light. "Tell me, Selena, are you truly upset about the rumors? Or are you afraid they're closer to the truth than you dare admit?" Her chest clenched. She stumbled back a step. "You! What are you saying?" He stopped before her, his eyes softer now, his voice low and unwavering. "I see no reason to deny it, because the truth is, I don't want the rumors to disappear." The wind swept around them, lifting her skirt, tugging at his shirt, carrying the scent of salt and sugar through the air. Selena lowered her gaze, unable to speak, but Leon didn't need her words. In the quiet shimmer of her flushed cheeks and trembling smile, he already had his answer. Part 6. The Threat of Takeover. The morning sky over Seaview was heavy, choked with gray clouds that warned of a coming storm. Inside Vaughn Creamery's headquarters, the usual sweetness of vanilla and caramel had been replaced with the bitter weight of unease. Leon stood alone at the tall window, eyes hard as steel, fixed on the restless sea beyond. His desk phone buzzed relentlessly, emails flashing across his screen. Coldwell Foods, the food empire known for swallowing smaller brands, had just made their move. An official offer. On the polished walnut desk lay a thick folder, its numbers bold and staggering enough to make most CEOs tremble. But Leon's jaw tightened. His hand clenched. The offer might have dazzled others, but for him, it felt like a knife. A soft knock broke the silence. Selena stepped in, 2 steaming cappuccinos in hand. "You haven't eaten all morning, have you?" Leon didn't turn. His voice was low, tight. "Coldwell wants to gut us. Their price is high, too high to ignore. Even my advisors say I should sign, but if I do, Vaughn Creamery loses its soul. It'll be nothing but a hollow brand on their conveyor belts." Selena set the cups on his desk, her face pale. "Leon, you built this company from a dream, from your father's legacy. To Seaview, Vaughn Creamery isn't just a company, it's pride, it's childhood in every scoop." At that, Leon turned. His eyes were storm-tossed seas, fierce but flickering, with something dangerously close to despair. "They're not fighting fair. Selena, they've spread rumors that I'm in debt, forced our suppliers to cut ties. The harder I push back, the tighter they squeeze." For the first time, she saw him stripped of armor, not the unshakable CEO, but a man fraying under the weight of war. Her heart clenched. She laid a trembling hand on his, whispering, "You're not alone. You have me, and you have this town. Don't let numbers blind you to the truth of what you're fighting for." He stared at their joined hands, and in that silence, a fragile truth cracked open. Even a man as powerful as Leon Vaughn needed someone to steady him, and that someone was her. 2 days later, the storm broke. From the cafe TV screens to every phone in town, the headline blazed: Coldwell Foods nears takeover of Vaughn Crearyy. The image of Coldwell's logo pressed against Vaughn Creamery's crest was a dagger straight into Seaview's heart. Selena, standing outside the corner store, heard the murmurs cut through the crowd. So it's true. If he sells, Seaview loses everything. 10 years of building, and now it's gone to a giant. Her chest twisted. She ran through the streets toward the factory, where silence weighed heavier than any storm. Workers whispered, their eyes hollow, as if hope had already drained away. The CEO's door stood ajar. Selena stepped inside, Her breath caught. Leon slumped in his chair, tie loosened, papers strewn across the floor. His phone buzzed with relentless calls from reporters and investors. He lifted his head at the sound of her footsteps, his face carved with exhaustion. "Selena!" His voice was hoarse. "They've won. The media says I've sold, even if I haven't signed. The world believes I've betrayed Seaview." Her heart broke at the sight of him. She knelt to gather the scattered papers, then lifted her gaze, firm, despite her trembling voice. "No, Leon, you haven't betrayed anyone. Not yet. As long as you haven't signed, there's still a choice. Don't let Coldwell's lies become the truth just because you're silent." He dragged a hand through his hair, a hollow laugh escaping. "They have money, power, the press. All I have is a small town and a handful of sweet memories." Selena gripped his hand, fierce. "And me, Leon, look at me. You are not fighting this battle alone." For a heartbeat, his gaze faltered, a faint light flickering in the storm. She knew if she let go now, he would fall. So she spoke again, softer, steadier. "Do you know," she whispered, "when I was little, our town had a shabby ice cream shop. The cones were mostly ice, barely any cream, but to us kids, it was heaven. Whenever my father gave me $2, I felt like the richest girl alive." Leon's eyes held hers, silent. "One day," she continued, her smile bittersweet, "the shop closed. A big chain opened across the street, flashy, colorful, full of ads. But no matter what we tried, we never found that taste again. It was gone. Along with our laughter," her voice cracked. "If you sell Seaview, we'll lose that same joy. Vaughn Creamery isn't just business. It's childhood. It's fathers and sons. It's memory. No corporation can buy that." Leon bowed his head, shoulders rigid under the storm pressing down. Gently, Selena touched his arm. "You're the only one who can keep that alive. Not for yourself, for all of them." Silence. Then Leon lifted his head. His eyes burned with new fire. "You're right. I won't let Coldwell turn Vaughn Creamery into a lifeless brand. If they fight me with media, I'll fight back with Seaview." Selena's lips curved, trembling but proud. The man who had nearly collapsed was standing again, stronger now, because he wasn't standing alone. That night, the factory boardroom glowed with light. The town was still buzzing with rumors, but inside, hope stirred. Leon, Selena, and his closest allies huddled around the table, not as workers, but as warriors. On the whiteboard, Leon scrawled 3 bold words: "Salt and sea breeze." "This," he said, voice steady, "will be our answer. Coldwell can buy headlines, but they can't buy Seaview. At the festival, in front of every camera, we'll launch a new flavor, not just a product, a vow. Vaughn Creamery belongs to this town, and it always will. A young employee swallowed hard. But sir, what if it fails? Leon's gaze sharpened. Then I'll bear the loss. But if it succeeds, Vaughn Creamery won't be mine alone. It will belong to everyone who believes in it. Selena's chest swelled, eyes misting. Hours ago, he was a man on the brink. Now, his words struck like arrows of fire, lighting courage in every heart around the table. She whispered, just for him. This is the Leon Vaughn Seaview believes in. His eyes met hers, warm even amid the storm. Then he turned back to the room. We will not fight with money. We will fight with faith. On festival day, the world will see Vaughn Creamery has never been and will never be for sale. For a heartbeat, the room was silent. Then applause burst, thunderous, echoing against the walls. In that moment, Selena felt it an unshakable truth. Vaughn Creamery wasn't just ice cream anymore. It was hope. And Leon Vaughn, with his fire rekindled, had become the lighthouse guiding them all. Part 7. A moment of healing. That night, after the grueling meeting, Leon stepped onto the rooftop balcony of Vaughn Creamery. Sea view's waves crashed below, foam lashing the rocks, whispering secrets from the past. The salt wind pressed against him, sharp and damp, drowning out the lingering sweetness of vanilla that clung to the air inside. He braced his palms against the railing, head bowed, shoulders heavy. Never in his life had he felt such weight, not just money or power, but the threat of losing everything: his company, his community, his father's memory. Soft footsteps approached. Selena emerged, carrying a light coat. She draped it over his shoulders, then stood beside him in silence, gazing out at the restless sea. For a while, neither spoke. Finally, her voice broke the stillness, gentle as the tide. When I was a child, whenever I was sad, my father would take me to the shore. He'd say, "See the waves, sweetheart. Sometimes they're calm, sometimes wild, but the ocean is always here. If you learn to breathe with its rhythm, your sadness will ease." Hey. Leon turned, the storm in his eyes flickering with something softer. "You've fought so hard these past days," she whispered. "But even you, Leon, need permission to breathe. Seaview doesn't need an untouchable God. They just need you." The Leon Vaughn who listens, who loves, who protects. His grip on the railing tightened, his throat constricted. In the dark, his eyes shimmered, dangerously close to breaking. "You don't have to face the world alone," she murmured. "Not while I'm here, not while this town is behind you." At that, his hand trembled, then reached for hers, clinging as though to life itself. Power stripped away. He was only a man, and she, an ordinary woman. held him as gently as the waves softened the jagged rocks. The wind surged, carrying salt through her hair. Still, she held his hand, steady and patient, until his breathing calmed. She smiled faintly, eyes on the horizon. My parents divorced when I was 12. She confessed softly. My mother kept us afloat with an old sewing shop. Once, I wanted an ice cream so badly I cried, but she had no money. She just held my hand and said, "You don't need ice cream to be happy. You only need to remember you'll never face hardship alone." Her voice cracked, raw. I think about those words whenever I feel useless. They don't erase the pain, but they help me keep walking. Leon said nothing, only tightened his hold, his gaze filled with awe and sorrow. "Selena," his voice rasped, "you grew up with so little, and yet you carry so much warmth, so much strength. I have a company, a fortune, but sometimes I think I'm not half as strong as you." Her eyes glistened. "You don't have to be strong alone. Leon, you've carried this town on your shoulders for too long. Let someone share the weight. Let me." His chest heaved. For the first time, he let out a long, trembling breath, as though releasing a burden he'd hidden for years, and in that tremor, something inside him healed. Two souls from opposite worlds, one raised in scarcity, the other, cloaked in wealth, found the same wound, the same need. The sea roared louder, waves pounding like a great heartbeat. Leon finally spoke, his voice low and unguarded. "When I was a boy, my father sold ice cream from a wooden cart. The wheels squeaked. The fruit was never perfect. People laughed, said a man couldn't raise a family selling cones. But he'd smile and say, 'Every smile I get in return is worth more than gold.'" His eyes drifted to the horizon, seeing ghosts in the spray. "He died when I was 20. That cart was all he left me. I swore one day I'd turn Vaughn Creamery into what he dreamed, not just ice cream, but joy for the whole community." Selena's hand gripped his tighter. "Leon, if I sell," he whispered, voice breaking, "I betray him. Coldwell only sees numbers. They'll never understand. This company was built with his sweat, his hope." Her eyes blurred. "Then don't fight alone. I'll help you keep his dream alive." He turned, his gaze shining no longer cold, but tender. He nodded, as if he had finally found his ally. Silence held them, broken only by waves and the faint call of a distant ship. Leon bowed his head, grief and memory pressing hard. Then Selena did something unexpected. She began to hum a lullaby, soft, old, imperfect, but warm. The sea sings a lullaby, its waves a steady heart. Though storms may come, there is still peace. Her voice wasn't trained, but it carried the innocence of childhood. stitching over the cracks in his spirit. Leon's head lifted, eyes wide. What did you just sing? Selena smiled shyly. A lullaby. My mother used to hum. She said, as long as you can hear the ocean, you'll never be alone. He closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he let the sound wash over him, as if he were a boy again at his father's cart. And when the song faded, the storm inside him had quieted. Thank you, Selena, he whispered, voice raw. I can't remember the last time I felt comforted. Maybe not since my father died. Her smile trembled. You don't have to hold it all together all the time. Sometimes, letting yourself be weak is the only way to stay strong. A quiet laugh escaped him, fragile but real, not the laugh of a CEO, but of a man finally allowed to rest. He opened his eyes, gazing at her as though she held part of his soul. Selena, you've reminded me I don't have to fight alone, and I swear to you, no matter what storm comes, I will never surrender Vaughn Crearyy. Not for money, not for power, but for my father's dream, for this town, and for you. Her heart jolted. To be named in the same breath as his father's legacy, and Seaview itself, her breath caught, Leon, was all she managed, her throat tight. He stepped closer, close enough for the salt wind to blur between them. His voice was steady, rich, like the ocean striking stone. When I saw you at that wrong table, I thought, maybe destiny was finally giving me a reason not to be alone anymore. Her lips parted, eyes wet with light. All the noise, the takeover, the gossip, the storm fell away. Only his promise remained. She nodded faintly, whispering back, if you fall, I'll be the one to catch you, because even you deserve someone to protect you. Leon's hand clasped hers, firm but trembling. It wasn't a confession in words, but a vow, silent and unbreakable. From this night on, they were no longer CEO and stranger. They were two souls bound, ready to weather the storm together. Part 8. The flavor that saved the company. Summer in Seaview had always been bright, but that day, the town square seemed to glow even more. Strings of colored flags snapped in the ocean wind. Fairy lights shimmered across wooden beams, and music pulsed through the streets. Hundreds of townspeople filled the plaza, eager for the unveiling of a new ice cream flavor everyone had been whispering about all week. Behind the curtain, Selena's heart raced. She peeked out at the sea of faces, the ripple of excitement rolling like a tide across the square. In that instant, she understood the fragile hope of an entire town rested on one man, Leon Vaughn. Leon stepped forward, dressed not in a suit or silk tie, but in a simple white shirt, sleeves rolled high, no display of power, just a man carrying determination in his eyes. As he took the stage, the crowd erupted into cheers. He stood still a moment, breathing deeply, as if drawing strength from every soul before him. "Good evening, Sea View." His voice rang, steady and warm. For 10 years, Vaughn Creamery has grown alongside this town. We've shared summers, festivals, childhood memories in every scoop of ice cream. Tonight, I don't stand before you as a CEO. I stand as a son of Seaview, wanting to keep this dream alive for us all. Silence spread over the crowd, broken only by the hush of waves. Selena's eyes blurred with tears. Each word was more than business. It was a vow. With a nod, Leon signaled. A table was rolled out, covered in white linen, holding rows of glass cups, filled with the new creation, salt and sea breeze. Golden caramel glistened in the sunlight. Flecks of sea salt sparkled like pearls, and the cream shimmered as smooth as the ocean's tide. The people leaned forward, breathless. It wasn't just dessert. It was a symbol of memory, hope, and home. Lifting one glass high, the sun catching the caramel like fire. Leon's voice carried deep and trembling with truth. This is salt and sea breeze. Each spoonful carries the salt of the ocean, the warmth of the sun, and the breath of Seaview's summer wind. It is not just a flavor. It is the soul of this town. For a heartbeat, the plaza was still. Then a child called out, "It's like our sea," and laughter rippled into applause. First scattered, then thunderous, Selena gripped her hands to her chest, watching as Leon gave his heart back to the town. He was no longer a distant CEO. He was one of them. Leon paused, his voice lowering with gravity. Some ask me, why add salt to sweetness? Because life has never been only sweet. Seaview knows the sweat of fishermen, the tears of families who lost loved ones at sea. But we also know smiles. We know hope. The salt reminds us of hardship, and the sweet reminds us that we always endure. An elderly woman dabbed her eyes. A young boy tugged his mother's hand. "Mom, does this mean we'll get a new classroom?" His mother nodded, smiling through tears. Leon lifted the microphone again, his voice resolute. "From this day on, part of every sale of salt and sea breeze will go into the Seaview Future Fund to rebuild the harbor, to add classrooms for our children, to help families in need." For a breathless moment, the plaza stood in silence. Then it burst. Cheers and tears. Fishermen raising their fists. Mothers holding their babies tighter. Children chanting his name. Behind the curtain, Selena's chest swelled with pride. Vaughn Creamery wasn't just saved, it had become part of every person in the square. And then Leon's gaze searched the crowd. His eyes found her. There is someone I must thank. His voice softened, someone who reminded me that ice cream isn't only work, it's joy, memory, love. She gave me the courage to create Salt and Sea Breeze. Tonight, in front of you all, I want to thank her. The audience gasped, heads turning toward the wings. Selena froze, her pulse wild. He wouldn't, surely he wouldn't. But Leon smiled, eyes shining like the ocean at dusk. Selena Hart, thank you for giving this flavor a soul. The square erupted, whistles, cheers, applause rained down. Selena's cheeks flushed hot. She stepped onto the stage, each step heavy, yet carried by the roar of the crowd. "You're crazy," she whispered, trembling as she reached his side. "Why would you say that in front of everyone?" He leaned close, voice low enough only she could hear. "Because truth deserves to be spoken, and you deserve to be seen." The crowd began chanting, "Leon and Selena, Leon and Selena." The sound rolled like waves against the cliffs. Leon squeezed her hand firmly, a reassurance, before raising the glass once more. "Tonight, this flavor doesn't belong to me, or even to Selena. It belongs to Seaview. So let us all taste it together." From both sides of the stage, carts rolled out, overflowing with cups of the new flavor. Free scoops were passed into eager hands. Old fishermen, wide-eyed children, weary mothers, they all tasted, laughed, cried. "This tastes like home," whispered one woman. Selena gazed out at the sea of faces, their smiles glowing in the amber dusk. A town once fearful of loss now sang together, voices carrying their pride into the night. Leon leaned toward her, his voice steady and warm. "Do you see it now? This isn't my fight anymore. It's our strength, yours, mine, and Seaview's." Selena nodded, tears sparkling. In that golden twilight, she realized Leon hadn't just saved a company, he had given a town back its soul. And for the first time, standing hand in hand at his side, Selena felt she was part of that soul too. Part 9. The Confession and the Proposal. The Seaview Festival had reached its most dazzling moment. The town square glowed beneath hundreds of golden lights, while fireworks painted the night sky in brilliant streaks. The sound of drums and the cheers of the townspeople blended into a symphony of life. Selena still stood on stage, her hands trembling after Leon had just declared her the inspiration behind Salt and Sea Breeze. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. Everyone looked at her differently now, not as an ordinary girl, but as part of something larger than life. Leon, standing close beside her, leaned down and whispered, Selena, there's one more thing I need to do before this night ends. She turned, flustered. Another surprise. Haven't you already set the entire square alight tonight? He only smiled, his eyes deep with meaning. Then he walked toward the special table where the organizer's ice creams had been prepared. He chose one coated in glossy chocolate, sprinkled with golden almonds. Beneath the lights, it gleamed like a jewel. Leon brought it back to her. For you, but take a bite, and you'll understand. Bewildered, Selena accepted. Before hundreds of curious eyes, she bit into the crisp shell. Suddenly, her teeth struck something hard. She frowned, pausing, and carefully brushed away the melting ice cream. And there, glinting silver in the center, was a ring. The crowd gasped. A wave of cheers erupted, swelling into applause like crashing waves. Selena froze, her hands shaking, her eyes wide. Leon stepped forward, sinking to one knee in the middle of the stage. Fireworks exploded above, raining silver and gold across his dark hair. His voice trembled, but it carried the weight of his soul. Selena Hart, you may have sat at the wrong table, eaten the wrong ice cream, but this heart, I want it to be the right choice for you. Will you marry me? An ordinary girl, beneath fireworks and the roar of an entire community, watching the most powerful CEO in Seaview kneel before her. No heart could remain untouched. Selena stood stunned. The applause, the shouts, they all faded away. All that remained was Leon's gaze, intense, vulnerable, and filled with trust. The man admired by the whole town knelt now, not as a CEO, but as someone offering his whole heart. Memories rushed back. That lonely afternoon when she sat at the wrong VIP table, searching only for quiet and a cup of ice cream. Leon's first look at her cold, yet strangely curious, their playful arguments about eating speed, their laughter like children, the test runs at the factory, the scent of vanilla and caramel, the way he watched her as though she were the missing piece of a puzzle, and the darker days when Coldwell pressed hard. When Leon nearly broke, she remembered holding his hand on the balcony, telling him he didn't have to fight alone. And now, he truly wasn't alone. Seaview stood behind him, and his heart leaned toward her. Tears spilled hot down her cheeks. Selena covered her mouth, trembling. The entire square held its breath. Leon's eyes shone with determination, but also with fear. His voice broke softly. Selena, you're the one choice I can never risk losing. Through her tears, Selena laughed, fragile, joyful, overwhelmed. She bent down, her voice shaky but clear. Leon, I may have sat at the wrong table, but maybe, just maybe, That was the best decision I ever made. The square erupted. Cheers! Whistles, fireworks bursting above. Selena reached out her trembling hand. Leon took the ring from the heart of the ice cream. The turquoise stone shimmered like the very waters of sea view. With shaking hands, he slipped it onto her finger, the same hand that had once pulled him from the depths of his darkest nights. Selena Hart, he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. From this day forward, I don't just want you to inspire flavors. I want you to be the only flavor of my life. Selena sobbed, but her smile lit up the night. The ring slid perfectly onto her finger, as though it had always been waiting. Leon rose swiftly and gathered her into his arms. The square roared like the sea, fireworks painting the night in gold. Red, violet, and green. Selena pressed her face into his shoulder, breathing in his familiar scent of vanilla and sandalwood. I never thought I'd be the center of all Sea View like this, she whispered. Leon bent close, murmuring, and I never thought I'd find you. One mistake of yours turned into the miracle of my life. The elders wiped their eyes. Children waved sparklers. The town's famous matchmakers embraced, laughing. Told you so, it's no rumor anymore. The entire town, under fireworks and golden lights, became witness to a lifelong vow. A powerful CEO knelt before love. An ordinary girl became the brightest light of all. Leon still held her, then gently turned her toward the crowd. With steady warmth, he lifted the microphone. Sea View. Tonight, I didn't just find the flavor to save Vaughn Crearyy. I found the person who will walk beside me all my life. Selena isn't only my love. She's proof that sometimes the smallest mistake can lead to the truest path. The square burst with applause, not for grandeur, but for sincerity. Selena, still in tears, lifted the mic. Her voice shook, yet carried strength. Everyone here knows I'm just an ordinary accountant, nothing special. But Leon made me believe I'm worthy of love, of trust, and I want you all to know real love doesn't care about status. It begins with kindness and with faith. True. The crowd roared, clapping and shouting their names. Leon turned back to her, pride gleaming in his eyes. You just gave me the greatest promise. Selena laughed through tears. And you just gave me the greatest faith. They embraced again, not just as lovers, but as partners before their community. Love became a shared vow for Seaview itself. The fireworks climaxed, bursting across the sky like galaxies igniting. Reflections danced upon the sea. The roar of joy lifted the stage itself. Leon held her close, whispering one final vow. From today, you are my only one. And before she could answer, his lips met hers. Not hurried, not showy, but deep and warm. A kiss that carried a lifetime. Under the fireworks, they kissed as though no one else existed. The crowd erupted. Children danced. Adults embraced. The matchmakers shouted, "We told you so." Laughter, tears, applause, all blending into a chorus of joy. Selena leaned into him, heart racing, yet strangely calm. From one wrong table, from one accidental ice cream, she had found the greatest love of her life. Leon held her tight, his vow echoing, "No matter what storms may come, I'll protect you." The way I protected this flavor, the way I protected Sea View. Selena smiled through her tears, arms circling him. The final firework exploded, a heart blazing across the sky, and the entire town became witness to a love that was unexpected, sweet, and everlasting. A kiss beneath the fireworks, a vow before an entire community, a private love turned into a legend. And in that moment, every heart watching melted with joy. Part 10. 1 year later, fulfillment. Summer returned once more to Seaview. The town square glowed with flags, music, and golden lights strung overhead like waves of sunlight. Yet this year, the air carried even more excitement than before for tonight. All eyes waited for the couple who had become the very legend of the town. At the center booth stood Selena Vaughn, her dress, the pale blue of the sea, flowed gracefully beneath the apron, bearing the Vaughn Crearyy logo. Her long hair was tied high, a few strands slipping loose to frame her cheeks, catching the golden light of the sun. With nimble hands, she sprinkled candy pieces atop ice creams for children. "Careful now," she teased, handing a chocolate-covered cone to a little boy. "If you pile too many toppings, it'll topple over." The boy laughed, hugging his cone as if it were treasure. Behind the counter, Leon was sleeves rolled, standing over a giant ice cream tub. No CEO's suit tonight, only a white shirt. Strong arms scooping with ease into paper cups. Children swarmed around him, chanting, "Mr. Vaughn, more toppings, more strawberries." He chuckled, leaning low. "All right, but only if you share with your friends. Otherwise, I'll fine you for greed." Laughter rippled through the square. Neighbors looked on, pride glowing in their eyes. Leon was no longer just a successful CEO, but a man of the people serving joy. Beside his wife, Selena glanced at him, her eyes shimmering with quiet happiness. Just a year ago, she had been the girl who sat at the wrong VIP table. Tonight, she stood here as his wife, his partner in every step. What had once been a simple mistake had blossomed into destiny. Children's laughter filled the square like a sweet chorus. Tiny hands reached eagerly for ice creams dressed in color. A curly-haired boy hesitated, clutching a vanilla cone. "Miss Selena, is this really free? I don't have to pay anything." Selena bent down, brushed his hair softly, her smile warm. "That's right. Tonight belongs to you and every child of Seaview. It's a thank you gift from Mr. Leon and me." The boy beamed, running off to share with his friends. Selena straightened, her eyes misting. She whispered to Leon, "Do you see it? Sometimes happiness is as simple as a single cone, and somehow we've turned it into a gift for the whole town." Leon wiped a smudge of cream from her cheek, his gaze tender. "Not we, you. A year ago, all I cared about were numbers and negotiations. You reminded me that Vaughn Crearyy isn't just about selling ice cream. It's about bringing joy." Her heart ached sweetly at his words. She remembered the dark days when Coldwell nearly destroyed the company. Leon's weary eyes, his fierce determination, the night he stood before Seaview and declared the company belonged to them all. She whispered, voice soft as sea breeze, "If not for you, I'd still just be the girl at the wrong table. But because of you, I found something greater to believe in." Leon clasped her hand tightly amid the bustling booth. Their eyes met. No words were needed. Around them, the townsfolk savored not just ice cream, but the love that had become part of Seaview's very soul. As the sun dipped toward the ocean, painting the square in gold, drums and guitars rose in festive rhythm. Selena guided little girls, sprinkling cookie crumbs, when suddenly the voice of the MC echoed across the speakers. "Everyone, please pause. We have a surprise for two very special people tonight." Selena looked at Leon, startled. He raised an eyebrow, lips curving in a half smile, clearly just as clueless. The crowd parted, forming an aisle to the stage. Leading the way were the town's famous matchmakers, smiling wide. An elderly woman, her silver hair shining beneath the lights, held the microphone with trembling hands. "Last year, we witnessed the most romantic proposal Seaview has ever known, and in this past year, we've not only watched Leon and Selena love each other, but love this town as their own. Tonight, we want to say thank you at once." The crowd lifted their ice cream cones high. Golden light shimmered on smiling faces and teary eyes. Selena covered her mouth, heart racing. Leon squeezed her hand. Children hurried onto the stage, carrying a paper crown decorated with sparkling candies. A little girl solemnly placed it upon Selena's head. "You're our ice cream queen," she declared, laughter and thunderous applause filled the square. Tears spilled as Selena embraced the children, laughter breaking through her sobs. Leon's eyes glistened in the evening light. This moment meant more than any triumph in business. The girl who once stumbled into the wrong table had become a queen in the heart of her community, and the entire town bore witness to the power of love and kindness to transform a life and unite countless hearts. Leon leaned toward an assistant nearby, whispering, "Bring it out." Moments later, a small wooden box was placed on the table. Selena's eyes widened, nervous laughter spilling. "Leon Vaughn, what are you up to now?" He opened it. Inside lay no ring, no jewel, only a polished silver spoon, engraved with ocean waves, and the words, "For Selena, the flavor of my life." The crowd gasped, then cheered. Selena covered her mouth, tears streaming as she laughed. "You proposed with ice cream, and now you gift me something tied to ice cream again. Don't you know any other way?" Leon's gaze was steady, his voice low but certain, "Because every happiness I've ever known began with a single spoonful. And with you." Selena broke down, sobbing openly as she clutched the spoon as though holding his heart. The square erupted in applause, laughter, and tears. Leon bent and kissed her forehead, a simple gift transformed into a sacred vow. Later, as the festival wound down, the square emptied slowly. Children hugged their cones. Neighbors walked home in glowing spirits. Lantern lights reflected across the sea, glittering like fallen stars. On the wooden steps near the stage, Leon and Selena sat side by side. She still held the silver spoon, eyes following the last sparks of fireworks fading from the sky. Leon draped his jacket over her shoulders, threading his fingers through hers. "Do you remember?" he murmured, his voice blending with the sea wind. "It all began because you sat at the wrong table." Selena smiled, her eyes shimmering. "A small mistake, but the most beautiful mistake of my life." She rested her head on his shoulder, gratitude swelling in her chest. She had seen him fight to protect Vaughn Crearyy, to protect Seaview, and she had learned to stand beside him, not as a timid accountant, but as a woman who could share and endure. Leon tightened his grip on her hand, his gaze fixed on the horizon where sky and sea met. "I used to think happiness meant building an empire. Now, I know. Real happiness is having you beside me, sharing every summer." Selena laughed softly through her tears. "Then you owe me one promise, a new flavor every summer, just for me." Leon kissed her hair. "I promise." In the distance, the final firework exploded, shaping a giant heart across the sky. Even as families walked home, they stopped to clap and cheer once more. Seaview became witness again to a love fulfilled, simple yet everlasting. As the lights dimmed, only two hearts remained on the wooden steps, whispering back to where it all began. From one small mistake, and in that quiet, the audience understands. True happiness doesn't come from perfection, but from the little surprises that change everything. A wrong table can open the door to destiny, and real love is measured not by status, but by sharing, by enduring, and by the courage to love and be loved. Selena leaned against Leon's shoulder, the sunset wrapping them in gold. Their chapter of love had closed sweetly, yet opened another one, where every summer in Seaview would hold not only the taste of ice cream, but the eternal story of their hearts. Because sometimes happiness begins with a tiny mistake. And if you dare to hold on, it can change your whole life. Do you believe a single unexpected moment can change your life forever? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, leave your rating from 0 to 10 for this story. Want to hear more? Sweet CEO Love Tales. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss a single journey